There we go.
Yeah,
What's good,
like
Gent?
that.
How you doing, dog?
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good. Raiders coming off of back-to-back wins and looking down the pipe at Cincinnati, who got absolutely waxed by the Ravens. So they give us some mid-season reports here. Let's kind of go over some of the grades on this team. Are you up for that?
Yes, most definitely.
All right, I'm interested in your input, Gent, because it's good to have a nice, unbiased opinion. I say that loosely.
Yeah.
Let's start with the offense.
Yeah, unbiased to the fullest.
Let's start with the offense here. I think the offensive line, it goes without saying. We won't spend any time on that. The offensive line in my book gets an A. They're rated as one of the top, and the numbers are already taking care of themselves right there. But let's start with this wide receiver group. How would you grade them out as a whole unit?
As a whole unit, as far as what hey, man. Now, see, I'm one of them kids that, or right, people that would tell their kids, well, it don't matter how well you had it. It's either you did the damn job or you didn't do the damn job. And to be truthful, they haven't been doing the damn job. But I'm going to say that by saying this. They don't have much to work with, with the wide receiver group. And so as far as that is concerned, they've all been doing an excellent job. So I'm going to have to go with a solid C.
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't seen a lot of production out of them in numbers, but you're not seeing as many drop passes or missed opportunities or miscommunications this year from the wide receiver group. So playing average, playing solid, you get in there, a lot of no names, a lot of second tier guys. You got, Davis is in there, Zay Jones in there. Players people know, fans are rooting for because they're Raiders, but nobody was tickled pink or talking about in the offseason to get, but they're in there, they're filling holes and they're doing their job. And Williams, Tyrell, he's doing a hell of a job too. Not showing up every week, but I think a C is a fair score, Gent. Let's talk about this tight end group. You got Morrow. You got your boy Darren Waller, and you got Derek Carrier. Correct.
There you go.
So
Derek Carrier.
The tight end group, man. What's your grade on that?
A plus. The tight ends have been killing it.
Yeah.
In every facet, and it don't matter which one it is either. So, the tight ends, you have to give them an A plus.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Foster's been killing them in the red zone, man.
Bro, is it fair to say that the Raiders drafted the best tight end in the draft?
It's looking like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because,
and everybody was talking about that Noah Fant. Yeah, I hear you.
They were talking about Fant, and they were talking about Hawkinson. They were talking about Irv over from Alabama. Was he from Alabama? Yeah. And nobody was really mentioning Moreau, man. And somehow your boy Mayock, your boy Gruden, they were like, yo, no, this is the motherfucker we're drafting. And we all had it, we all understood that Waller was going to be the guy, right? But Moreau, he's held it down, man. And he's made some spectacular catches. For a guy that wasn't thought of as necessarily a pass-catching tight end, he's kind of decent, but more of a blocking type of at least build-wise, right, tight end. So that was I have to say they might have stole the best tight end in the draft, and nobody really knew it, man.
As far as productivity when it counts, right?
Yeah.
Foster's not being featured too much in the offense, continuously, but you get down in that red zone, he's somebody you have to contend with. And
no, but he's blocking his fucking ass off,
doing
dog.
It doesn't show up as far as playmaking, but he's doing everything. He's doing it really well.
But he's got sure hands, dog. Huge. When the ball goes in his direction, that motherfucker I don't think I've seen him drop a pass.
He's the new Lee Smith, dog.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
Yeah, that's a good call. With a little more athleticism, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little more athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So, the tight end group, we get an A+. Wide receivers, you get a C. We're giving the offensive line an A++ as well. Let's talk about this running back group. You got Jalen Richard, you got DeAndre Washington, and, of course, you got your man Josh Jacobs. All three, I feel like, playing at a very high level. You know how I feel about Washington, man. What are you going to give this group?
Again, I mean, if it wasn't for the running back group, where would this offense be? So you have to give them an A++++++. I mean, Josh Jacobs. That's like to go without being said, for what he's doing. But like you said, Washington has been clowning this season, and Rashard, he's been making it happen in the passing game. So, like that touchdown drive.
In the last two games.
Jacobs
in the last two games.
Touchdown, but. Yeah. Right. At this last game, right. Everybody saw the touchdown that Jacobs make in the last drive, but if it wasn't for Rashard making those crucial catches, we wouldn't have been down there. So
right. And against Detroit as well. Yeah.
Right. And so the running game, A+.
There you go.
A+. There it is. Damn. Are we being too kind? Let's move on to Derek Carr. Lastly, the quarterback position. Derek Carr, man, he's starting to see his yards per attempt go up. That was a big knock on him. Oh, he's got a high completion percentage. Oh, but he's only averaging, 5 yards a throw.
Yeah.
And starting to see that jump up, I think, in like the last 3 weeks. Or at one point, it was like 9.9. I think it's climbed to about 7, though. It might have taken a slight dip after this last week. But, I mean, where are we at on Derek Carr? How are you going to grade him out so far this year?
Oh, man. And no, I'm not trying to be a homer when I say this, because there was a bunch of plays. There was a bunch of plays where I was screaming at the TV telling Derek to run, bro.
Right.
There are opportunities where he could pick up a first down with his feet, or at least extend a play, will move the pocket. And so I'm going to say this, even though there are some discrepancies in his playing, but I'm going to have to give him a good solid A. Maybe not the A+, but I want to give him an A+, because he's doing more than just, bro, if you pay attention, he's getting everybody lined up correctly. He's getting them in the right play call. Gruden's play calling is difficult. He's getting 3 and 4 plays to make the decision on which play to go with, and he always seems to be getting us in the right situation. Maybe the play isn't successful, but it was the right situation. It was the right play for where we was at the time, and a lot of that goes to how much work Derek has put into understanding the intricacies of John Gruden's offense, bro.
Absolutely.
So.
One thing I will say that kind of got overlooked in the media a little bit. It was mentioned. We didn't have a chance to talk about it because we haven't been in the studio. But against Detroit, early in that game, Derek Carr running a no-huddle offense. And I was just saying, I think off the air between you and I, when John was here last, there was a lot of no-huddle, a lot of sugar huddles, what they called it, where it was a quick huddle. And I felt like we needed to bring that back. I thought that the Rich Gannon, John Gruden offense did a really good job of switching up the timing and the rhythm and keeping defenses on the heels. One thing that they used to run was the Charlie play. You get a big strike downfield, and you go immediately to the hurry up. You hear the quarter. You hear Rich yelling Charlie on the field. That was a play they had in their pocket just to get another ball off while the defense was gassing on their heels. So that's one more element I'd like to see added in. But, yeah, you're right. Derek Carr making a lot of reads at the line of scrimmage, something we primed you for in this offseason. That's the next step that we want to see Derek take. We know he's cerebral. We know he did it at Fresno State, called all the plays at the line of scrimmage with hand signals. Now they're bringing that in. And not only that, but the hand signal's not a John Gruden thing. It's a Derek Carr thing. Yeah. So is John really playing into the strength of Derek Carr right there, which I really like. That means they have a working rapport relationship. Yeah. I would downgrade him a little bit. I would give him a B+, only because of the missed opportunities and the mistakes he's made in games that have gone south. There's definitely been some plays that Derek has left on the table. There was the fumble against Minnesota or against Chicago. We didn't lose that game, but of course there was the fumble out the back of the end zone. So there's a couple plays there where I got to ding him on that, but I still feel like a B+ for Derek Carr right now, as much hate and criticism he's had. And I would go a little bit lower than that, but I'm just going to split the difference with you, Gent. And I'm going to give him a B+. I don't know where you guys fall on Derek Carr. We'll go around the table on Derek Carr.
I mean, I think a B+ is fair. I think most importantly, we're seeing the progress that Derek's making within the offensive scheme, right? He's becoming a lot more confident. Like Gent said, he's making a lot of calls. He's getting people in position, and even though the play is not successful, when you see him go back to the sideline or whatever, and he's conversing with Gruden, you don't see a lot of like pushback from Gruden. You see Gruden like kind of like asking him a question, and then he nods yeah, and then he's like okay, and then it's like yeah, we were on the same page. You were making the right call. It just didn't happen. It just didn't work out for us, and that could be an issue with personnel, or it just right now we just don't have the necessary weapons to make some of those plays happen. But I think he's doing exactly what Gruden needs him to do, and that's the most important part of everything, right? Because he's the guy you got to please, right? If you're going out there, you're making the calls that Gruden wants you to make. That's the first step, right? So we've seen a lot more successful, handoff of that scheme in terms of Derek's performance. So, yeah, man, B+, A. I think there's nothing wrong with both those grades for sure.
Bobby, what do you say, man?
I almost gave him a B just because of the way how just those overthrows, man. It really has annoyed me. But then again, y'all made a very convincing point. He definitely has earned that B+. And the reason why is because he went from just sitting there in the pocket and just getting hit or just dumping the ball off and just intentional grounding or whatever the hell, but he's actually moving his feet. That's one of the biggest annoyances for me watching the game was exactly how you guys said. Move your fucking feet. Go, run. Just right there.
Run, fool.
even if it's like 2-3 yards, bro, and you slide, at least get that positive yardage, bro. But don't just freak out and just expect it's all over with. And he's definitely not doing that.
Yeah, no, he's extending the plays for sure. We've seen him scramble outside the pocket for, not necessarily trying to scramble upfield, but at least keep the play alive to see if something else opens up. That's
where Renfro came in.
There you go.
He caught heat for not running into the end zone against the Chargers when we were in the red zone there, and we had to settle for 3.
Man, there was nobody around him for 500 miles. Could have ran straight in for the touchdown, bro. I was so pissed off about that.
I knew you were going to say that. Ball's at the 2-yard line. Yeah. I think he had dropped back. He was roughly 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage at that point. You had 3 defenders in the end zone.
Yeah.
Those guys run about a 4.4. That means they can cover that yardage in about 1 second. And I don't see Derek Carr getting in the end zone or possibly even getting to the first down. They played it conservative, man, and we took points there. Is that the field goal we missed though?
No, I don't think.
Yes.
So. Did we miss that field goal?
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
I don't think
we missed the.
So we're splitting hairs. I mean, if Derek runs that and fumbles it,
hey,
what are we talking about?
Well, there you go,
and
right?
He said it in the press conference. He addressed that play, and he said, it's one of those situations. I don't run, and everyone's on my back for playing it conservative. I do run, and something goes wrong. Why don't you just stay back there and take the 3 points?
Right.
So we can argue that back and forth all day, but it's a
Nah. We're not going to use the same thing as far as him making the fumble out the back of the end zone excuse and do it or don't do it. No, in that situation, bro, he should have ran. There was nobody around him for a million miles, bro. The defense stopped looking at him. I rewound that play like 3-4 times because my wife was like, "Baby, chill out. The play is over." I said, "No, look at this shit." And I rewound it on the DVR, and you can see the defense had their back. The linebackers wasn't looking. He could have walked in the end zone, bro. The reason why they was able to do that is because they was like, that motherfucker ain't gonna run. And they was right. That motherfucker wasn't gonna run because he's still a little bit. And who can blame him when you break your back, your leg, your pinky, and everything else? You're a little bit hesitant to take off.
Well, it's all that, and it's the mistakes too. But I think it's knowing to hold them, knowing to fold them too. And Yeah, we'd like to see Derek Carr be a little bit of gambler, but we'd also see, Derek Carr be healthy for the playoffs this year. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to disagree with you 100%,
Absolutely.
Jen. I think too, there's, the point that we haven't made yet. He's, if a defender does see him run and somebody does pull, it leaves the receiver open too, and he still has a chance to make a play right there. But he was a lot further away from that first down marker. I think when you really look at where he was standing behind the line, he had a ways to go. There's no turbo button on the field, right? We're not playing Madden, but yeah, there's a possibility we get an open receiver there. There's a possibility no one turns around and looks at him, but these NFL players, I think somebody's going to step up and at least try to make a play on Derek, but. Hey, it is what it is. He played a little bit conservative. We get points and end up coming out with the victory.
And I will.
Bottom line is Derek Carr.
And I will
once
say
again,
this. Oh, okay,
once again, another game-winning drive to add to his resume.
Yeah, that's true. True.
We'll leave him at a B plus. I think we'll leave him at a B plus. Too many overthrows, too many underthrows, a couple mistakes. Hurt your score at the end. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
You're good. And he made up for it later in the game where he did run and got the first down and slide down. And so I was still like, you should have did that in the first half.
Yeah, I know you were. I was watching the game on Monday, and I was like, or on Friday, and I was like, Jim must have been losing his goddamn mind right here. I know you too well, brother. But yeah, man. So let's move to the defense now. Let's start on the inside and we'll work our way out. This defensive line, it's not quite where we want it to be yet, but there's been some nice surprises up and down the line this year. PJ Hall is playing his ass off. He's absorbing 2 blockers most plays. You're not seeing him get back there, but he's doing a lot for the guys around him. Mo Hurst, we'd like to see him do a little bit more this year. But the ends, man, Mayowa. You had Cleve have a breakout game on the stat sheet Thursday. You had Arden Key in there, which he looked to be playing a little bit better this year. I don't know. I'm saying too much. I need to say less. Gent, why don't you take over? What are you going to give this line? What kind of grade?
Oh, man.
Oh, and don't forget Max Crosby.
I'm not going to say A simply because I don't want to sound like a homer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say A, but I'm going to definitely say A minus. Them motherfuckers have been doing their job, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Clee, he's been taking a lot of criticism.
Yep.
For doing exactly what the coaching staff has asked him to fucking do. And I can't believe it. I'd be like, man, do you guys watch football? I mean, he's doing his job. Was he getting a bunch of sacks? No, because they had other people with that task going after the quarterback. That wasn't his fucking job. And so the minute Key goes down, they say, listen, we don't have Key this week. We're going to need you to focus on getting to the quarterback. And so he did his job again, and we see the results. I mean, come on, man. Cleve's been awesome. But even Max Crosby, that's to go without being said. Awesome. Clowning. The NFL need to lay off my boy with all these fines they're trying to give him, too.
Man, for real.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. I mean, he's a rookie, bro. He don't make the money that the rest of them fools be making. Them fines is hit him harder than it hits the rest of them defensive linemen to be making all that bread, so they need to quit it.
I think, I think with the names we have on this, the names we have on this line, and the amount of commotion they're causing, and you're seeing these runs getting swallowed up at the first level of the defense, not the second, not the third, but the first level of the defense. And again, for the names we have on this line, I don't think anybody expected this kind of commotion that they're causing, this kind of chaos that they're causing. Che, I'm not going to give a grade, but go ahead, Che. What would you give them?
Oh man, I'm beyond impressed with this defensive line, man. I think they came into this season with a chip on their shoulders. They were like, you know what? Everybody talking shit about the 13 sacks last season and all that kind of stuff. They were saying it in practice, right? They kept announcing it to themselves in practice as motivation.
And where are we at now? 16?
We're 15, man. Well,
15.
we were at 15
going
into the game. So now we're at 20, right? With 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're at 20 sacks on the season, and we still have, you know, a good amount of games left. So I'm very, very impressed with the way that these young guys are one, first of all, conducting themselves, man, because these guys are all about playing for each other. And you see it in the way they celebrate, man. Nobody's worried about who got credited for the sack. They just fucking care that they got somebody down, man, on the ground, and everyone's celebrating in everybody's accomplishment. So it's a beautiful thing, man, and it's setting a standard for the future as well, not just this season, but ongoing, man. These guys are young cats. They ain't going nowhere, right? We got these young guys on rookie contracts. We got Mo Hurst and PJ Hall on the inside. We have Max Crosby. We have Cleveland Farrell. We have, Arden Key, even though he's injured, right, coming back. All these guys. This is exactly what Mayock and Gruden wanted to do. They wanted to establish a long living fucking culture, and I think they've done that with these young guys, man. And beyond impressed. So B+, I think B+, A- is, it's fair to say, right? We're not like blowing people out the water necessarily. But don't be surprised if this, continues to pick up and we start to see more games like we just saw against the Chargers, dog.
It's possible. If it does, I'd be tempted to get up into that B range. I'm going to give them a C+. I think they're playing a solid average. Yeah. We thought they were below average. They're about average. They're a middle of the road defense. I was just looking at the rankings. They're ranked like 26th out of 32 right now. So I can't go that high. I think based on expectations, I would go that high. But I think based on all the other,
that's what I'm talking about.
So I would probably give them a C+. I think they're playing a solid average defense, and that's more than we expected.
I think B+ just because of the success they've had against the run, and obviously this past game they gave up a little bit more.
Sure.
They gave up a little bit more, but the way that they've stood up against against the run this season, man, it's been very, very impressive. We've been in within the top 10 of rush defenses all season long. And if they're starting to get to the quarterback, now there's room to say, hey, okay, you guys are getting up there with, the top defensive lines for sure, right? We have our issues in the backfield, and we're starting to see a little bit of change, but we got a lot of injuries. The linebacking core isn't necessarily the greatest, but it's getting the job done too. But that defensive line up front, I feel like, man, we're on to something really good, bro.
Hey, they're performing well. There's a lot of players that aren't there that we expected to be there, and a lot of no-name dudes and a lot of rookies. And so, overall,
it's because we got the best defensive line coach in the league, bro. He's awesome.
Bretson Buckner's is shit.
He is fucking dope, man.
I messaged him the other day. I was like, "You're doing a hell of a job, coach."
Yeah. Come on the show, please.
Don't respond. I didn't even ask him that. I was just like a real smooth, like, you're just doing a hell of a job.
We fucks with you heavy, coach.
Yeah, big heavy.
Yeah, for sure. He's the reason.
The guy,
man, he's the reason.
Absolutely.
The guy we're missing, the guy we need right now is Anthony Rush. That's the guy.
Oh, somebody who scooped him up?
Philly
scooped him up.
Yeah. I wanted to see him, especially now with Klee having to take some snaps at the edge there. But your boy Mo Hurts, man, what's going on, Bobby?
I don't know, man. I'm really, really disappointed in him, dude. I thought he would be able to do something, especially with these weapons that we've been getting in on the defensive line. I honestly expected a lot more, dude. I have not been able to yell Mo Hurst in a long time, and it's very disappointing, man. It's awesome at least that everybody else is stepping up. For me, it would have to be a B, because definitely a huge improvement from last year.
Yeah,
it's definitely like damn near night and day.
Yeah,
and so the fact that just like how you said too, Che, that they're getting up there as far as being known that we can't just run the ball on these guys right here. It's definitely stepping everything up right there. It's definitely making offenses reconsider their plan when it comes to the run game with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have to have their shit on point. Their line definitely has to step up in order to be able to do something against us right there. So that's my biggest take, and the reason why I give them a B is just because there's still a lot more improvement to do.
Well, there's a lot of room to grow for sure, though.
Definitely.
For sure, man.
Definitely. But they're young cats.
No,
and you know what? That's just all basically on-the-job training right there.
There you go.
And they're going to pick it up. And
they're going to get that on-the-job training.
And they really getting it.
Yeah, hell
That's
yeah.
for damn sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So let's move on from the defensive line. Let's move out to that linebacking core. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of those guys stepping up. Tyre Whitehead, though, leading the team with 71 combined tackles. Carl Joseph was second with 49. So Tyre jumping out in front there as far as swallowing up playmakers on the defense. But This linebacking crew, a little underwhelming, Gent, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I would say so. But with that being said, I would have to. I'm gonna give them two separate grades. As far as their production, I'm gonna have to give them a C. You know, they a C. But as far as their dealing with adversity and next man up attitude that they have and trying to get the job done, you know, because it's not like the guys that we have doing the job that they're doing right now was the plan that they're doing the fucking jobs that they're doing right now. So with that being said, I'll give them a good solid B for dealing with all the adversity that they're dealing with, and stepping up and trying to handle the loss of Perfect. Man, that was more of a hit to us than people realize.
Yeah. The loss of Perfect, and I know a lot of people like Abram. There's a lot of people out there. Abram only played one game, but damn, didn't he look like he was in the right place at the right time with the right energy, with the right pop? So, I mean, that's a big if, but I think, yeah, you put Abram and Perfect back in this squad, and we're not ranked 26th. I think we're closer to the middle of the pack. I think with just those two guys. So I'm not going to argue with that. I think a C is a good grade. Let's go to the secondary crew. Let's talk about the corners and the safeties combined. Where do you want to break them up? I'll leave that up to you, Gent.
Should break them up because the safeties been doing a damn job and the corners have been failing us.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, they have. And I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. I said, you've seen Eric Harris coming in on these big receptions and making that final tackle. So, a lot of people that watch the game, they see Eric Harris as the jersey that flies to the ball, and they're like, oh, well, he was out of position, should have been there. No, he's the safety net. He's chasing down fuckers that Conley couldn't get.
Yeah.
Guys that Worley had to let go. So, yeah, you're right. The secondary's been there. They've been doing their job and really showed out big time in this last game on Thursday night here. The corners, where would you put them? It's really hard to rank that group. They've been changing around. But Mullen, I think Mullen's shown up really well. Conley is finally out of the mix, and Worley's kind of up and down as a player. So what kind of grade would you give the cornerback group?
The cornerback group, that's been the bane of our existence. Everybody says, hey, we can't, the Raiders, they don't let you run on the Raiders. And they turn around and say, so what?
Yeah.
You don't need to run on the Raiders. You can just throw the fucking ball all over the place. Yeah. Man. And I'm not putting that all on them young guys. Me and Kenny had this discussion earlier. I was venting my frustrations with the zone defense with him, and I was saying, damn, I understand where the point is that they're using the zone because of the play on the defensive line. But, bro, if your guys can't do it, don't ask them to do it. Put them. That's what coaching is, when they say put your players in the best position to win. Just because you have a plan in your mind of what you want to accomplish and how to go about accomplishing it, once you get into that real action and say, oh, well, that shit ain't working, to me, it's stupid to keep doing it just because, well, this is the fucking plan, so we're going to just keep fucking doing it. In my opinion, we should play a little more man with them young guys, because even if they get burnt, bro, even if they don't win in coverage, at least they're in the area to make the tackle. When I'm looking at this zone, these dudes is finding the soft spot, and there's nobody around these receivers for like 5-10 yards sometimes. I'm like, how are they getting this goddamn open? Man. So, I don't know whether it's scheme and they're just doing the best they can, or we need to get some better corners. One of the two. They need to get that shit figured out quick, fast, and hurry.